Alright, this is Chapter 6, Lesson 5, the x and y intercepts of a line. These are the three definitions that you need to write down. While you're writing this down, I'm going to talk to you about each and every one of them, and I'm sorry, I have something in my throat, and I can't get it out. Okay, so linear equation is an equation whose graph is a line. This is an example of a linear equation. This is an example of a nonlinear equation. And that would actually be called a parabola, and you'll learn about that later. And to go back on something that we learned last week, a parabola and a linear equation are both functions. So the x-intercept is the x-coordinate where the line crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept is the y-coordinate where the line crosses the y-axis. So if you look over here, this is your x-axis. It's on the, this is your x-intercept. It is on the x-axis, meaning that the value of your y value is 0. And on here, this is on your y-axis, so that means your x value has to be 0. So keep that in mind. That means whenever you're looking for your x-intercept, your y value is 0. When you're looking for your y-intercept, your x value is 0. Actually, I want you to go ahead and write that. I'm going to apologize in advance for my handwriting because I can't find my stylus. So the x-intercept, y equals 0. The y-intercept, x equals 0. I need you to put that in your notes. And if you can, highlight it. Make sure that's known because that's something very, very, very important for this lesson. 0.36 and negative 12.0. Sorry. Negative 12.0. Okay, so I know I'm going to have a point on my x-axis. I know I'm going to have a point on my y. If you already know how to graph, great. You can fast forward through this. That is what's so good about doing videos. But I noticed a lot of you didn't know how to the other day. I'm going to go ahead and not make 36 little tick marks, but I'm going to do like 10, 20, 30, 40, and 36 would be about right here. 0.36. Okay, and then negative 12.0, so then 5. I'm going to use tens again. 10, 20, negative 12.0 would be about right here. And it says graph the line, and so that means my line would look like this. And I'm so sorry it didn't go through that point, and I'm using my finger. It's terrible. I know. I'm going to go over it more tomorrow, and I apologize so much in advance. But hopefully you get the concept. Alright, so we're done with that problem. That is our line. Okay, so if you didn't understand what I just did, I just thought of showing you what the actual book looks like, working it out. And so this is when you plugged in when y equals 0, and then when x equals 0. So it explains it, and then it says to graph the equation, graph negative 12.0 and 0.36 and draw the line through those points. And that's what it should look like. When you're labeling your graph, you should have it labeled like this. Okay. Okay, so example 1, find the x and y intercepts of the equation y minus 3x equals 36. Then graph the line. So think back on what I told you to highlight and what was so important on the slide before. To find the x-intercept, you have to let y equal 0 and solve for x. So using my equation, and again, I'm using my finger, not a stylus, so keep that in mind when I'm writing. Let y equal 0, so when I'm looking for my x-intercept, sorry guys. So I'm looking for my x-intercept and my y equals 0. So I'm going to plug in a 0 where y is. So that I have 0 minus 3 times x equals 36. Well, 0 minus 3x is just negative 3x. You can drop the 0 equals 36. And then to get x by itself, I have to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. and x equals negative 12. So my point is going to be when x is negative 12, what is y? Well, y is 0 because that's what I plugged in. So that is how I would find my x-intercept. I'm going to draw, sorry my line's not great, but now I'm going to do my y-intercept. The difference between my x and my y is that when I have a y-intercept, my x value equals 0. So now I'm going to use the exact same equation, but plug in 0 where x is. So now I have y minus 3 times 0 equals 36. So that means y minus 0 equals 36. So that must mean y equals 36. And my point now is 0 because my x value is 0 and my y value is positive 36. And then it says then graph the line. Here's what I'm noticing. A lot of you don't know how to graph, and that's something that you should already know how to do. You're in 7th grade. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through it. In order for you to know how to graph, you need to have graphing paper, but you also need to know how to label your axis. So this is my x and this is my y. And my points were 0, 30, 36, 0. Sorry. No, they weren't. My point was, so all I want you to do on this one is I want you to use your finger and point to the x-intercept and then point to the y-intercept. So when I said point to the x-intercept, you should have said, oops, sorry, this is your x-intercept because it's on your x-axis. This is your y-axis, so this is your y-intercept. Okay, so the only problem that I want you to do is let's do number 4. I want you to do number 4, and then I also want you to do number 8. Number 4 and number 8. And that's all. And if you don't remember how to do number 4, all you're doing is plugging in x equals 0 to find the y-intercept, and y equals 0 to find the x-intercept, and you need to graph it.